Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the Commission on Elections Second Division junks the petition to cancel the candidacy of presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos, but petitioners say they will appeal the decision before the Comelec and bank. Also, the National Bureau of Investigation says it did not find any evidence of an alleged hacking at the Comelec's automated election system warehouse. Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez joins us live. Presidential hopeful Bongbong Marcos has won another case against his candidacy. The Comelec's second division dismissed the petition filed by human rights defenders. And as Melissa Lopez tells us, the petitioners will appeal before the Comelec's full bench of judges.
Commissioners Socorro Inting, Antonio Co, and Ray Bulay say they agree that the 2 points raised by Tess Group regarding Marcos's COC were important, but was wrong in claiming that the former senator lied in the document. Petitioners say Marcos's COC should be canceled because he wrongfully said that he has never been found guilty of a crime, which is a ground for perpetual ban from public office, meaning he can never hold any government position, and mistakenly claimed that he is eligible to vie for the presidency. This is based on Marcos found guilty of not filing his income tax returns from 1982 to 1985. However, the second division sides with Marcos's veteran lawyer Estelito Mendoza in nearly all his arguments. It says that the Court of Appeals did not impose that ban on government service for Marcos. The division also says that the non-filing of tax returns did not equate to moral turpitude or a crime against good morals, citing a Supreme Court decision involving his mother, former Congresswoman Imelda Marcos. The commissioners add, penalty cannot be imposed on Marcos since it only took effect in 1986, the year when Bongbong and his family were kicked out of Malacanang and fled to the United States. However, Commissioner Co said in his separate opinion that Marcos should still be held liable as the tax returns were based on Bongbong's income when he was Ilocos Norte governor. This is the second to be dismissed at the division level out of 7 cases against Marcos's candidacy.
Just means that one of the many challenges to his candidacy has been resolved. But there are other challenges still pending.
Tess says they will appeal the decision with the 7-member Comelec and bank. Marcos spokesman Vic Rodriguez says the Comelec division upheld the law.
We thank the Comelec second division for ruling unanimously dismissing the petition dahil sinabi ng Comelec mismo walang material misrepresentation na ginawa si Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Comelec spokesperson, Director James Jimenez. Director James, welcome back to the source. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so the 2 points raised by the group of Father Christian Buenafe et al., represented by attorney Theodore Tearterite, according to the second division, were important. But it further said that it did not prove that Bongbong Marcos lied or misrepresented himself when he filed his certificate of candidacy. I want to break this down further, Director James, and I hope you can help us understand. There were 2 points raised. The first was this item number 22 in his COC that actually said he was never found guilty of a crime, that the ruling never imposed a perpetual disqualification from holding public office. Of course, this is in reference to the not filing of the ITR from 1982 to 1985. So this was part of the COC wherein chinek po ni presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos yung item number 22.
Right. Tama yan. Basically, sinasabi niya, hindi pa siya nahahatulan ng penal sa kahit anong kaso na nagbigay sa kanya ng disqualification, right? So that's the assertion. That's supposedly the representation that was false, no? Ayon sa petitioners, hindi totoo yan kasi na-disqualify na siya dun sa kanyang kaso with the failure to file an income tax return. So in order to resolve that, para malaman kung totoo nga ba yung sinasabi doon sa COC na yon, tinignan ng second division yung decision na tinutukoy. And that decision was the CA decision that was the final ruling in that particular case. And sabi nga ng second division, nowhere in the dispositive portion, nowhere in the decision of the CA was it mentioned that a disqualification penalty was given to the respondent. So walang nangyaring
simply said,
disqualification, walang lie.
opo. So, sinabi po nila na hindi siya nag-file ng ITR, sinabi po ng Court of Appeals from 1982 to 1985, pero it never said in that ruling that he is perpetually disqualified from seeking public office. That was the ruling of the CA to which ginamit po ng Comelec second division itong item number 22.
Yes, basically sabi niya dahil nga wala tayong nakitang disqualification CA ruling, yun talaga ang dapat na sagot sa tanong na yun, na wala pang desisyon na nagbibigay ng disqualification kasi wala naman talaga.
Wala, hindi nakasulat, especially in the dispositive portion of the Court of Appeals ruling. Okay, let's go to the second point. This is item number 11, wherein Bongbong Marcos also checked this. He is eligible for the office he is seeking to be elected to which also the second division, sabi po ng second division ng Comelec, ay hindi naman daw nag-misrepresent si Bongbong Marcos dito. Please explain this to us, sir.
Totoo. Kasi basically, sinasabi lang naman nung item na yon, yung item 11 ata yon, na wala akong disqualification. No? Hindi ako, walang pwedeng sabihin na hindi ako pwedeng tumakbo, na eligible ako. So, it follows naman talaga na dahil wala nga nung disqualification clause doon sa decision ng CA, eligible talaga siya, di ba? Hindi naman napatunayan na meron siyang ibang disqualifications. So, sabi nga ng second division, ang punto ng kasong 'yon is cancellation lamang, no? Gayunpaman, tinakal pa rin ng second division yung mga disqualification allegations. And sinabi na wala naman tayong nakitang disqualification. So, tama lang na sabihin ng kandidato na siya ay eligible. Kasi wala naman talagang disqualification sa kanya.
I guess it would have been a completely different ball game, Director James, if in the ruling of the Court of Appeals on this case said, if it was stated that he's perpetually banned from seeking public office, to which wala nga pong nakita.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Kung nakasulat yun, kung malinaw yun, hindi pwedeng sabihin ng kandidato na walang ruling, na walang desisyon na may disqualification laban sa kanya.
Oo, na wala siyang karapatan na muling tumakbo for public office. But also, the second division also said this, hindi ho ba, that they have no jurisdiction. Pag sinabi po ng second division, we have no jurisdiction to amend or even review the CA decision. What exactly does that mean? They just look at the CA decision, look into the facts of the CA decision, and have their decision based on that. There's no point in actually reviewing it, saying if it was right or wrong.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. No, it means that the Comelec was never in a position to say tama or mali yung ginawa ng CA. All that the Comelec could do was to look at the decision and say, this is what this decision says, and then apply what that decision says. It was never in a position to say mali or tama yung decision ng CA.
Here's another issue that was being discussed at length when these cases for his disqualification of his certificate of candidacy, rather cancellation of his certificate of candidacy. Yun pong tinatawag na moral turpitude. Ibig sabihin yung pagsisinungaling deliberately over and over again. Was this discussed in the decision of the second division?
Yes, it was. It was. When we say that a crime involves moral turpitude, it means that it shows a flaw of character, no? A fundamental flaw of character. Na talagang, kumbaga, kung sa salitang sa salitang payak, parang masama ugali, parang ganyan. Two things the decision said about that. Number one, it clarified that the Supreme Court has already said that failure to file an income tax return does not involve moral turpitude. Ulitin ko lang, failure to file an income tax return does not involve moral turpitude. Ano ba yung kaso na inihain kay sa respondent? 'Di ba? Failure to file income tax
ITR.
returns. So, kung sabi nga ng Korte Suprema, failure to file ITR is not tantamount to moral turpitude, then the same applies to the respondent. Pangalawa, dilinaw din ng
Let me cut
Comelec.
you there. Director
Oh,
James,
okay.
pasensya na. Let me cut you there. But did the Supreme Court say not filing of ITR repeatedly? Yun ho kasi yung importanteng malaman dito kasi pinag-uusapan dito hindi ho ba 4 na taon, 82, 83, 84, 85. Yung repeated non-filing of ITR, did it say that that does not constitute moral turpitude?
I don't remember that it said the word repeatedly, but it said that the offense of filing of failure to file an ITR does not constitute moral turpitude. So I have to review the decision, but I don't recall that the word repeatedly was considered significant.
And then you were saying you were bringing up another point before I cut you.
And the second point is that it is the Supreme Court that decides whether or not an offense involves moral turpitude. Hindi rin naman din kasi Comelec or any other agency, it is the Supreme Court that can say whether or not a crime or an offense involves moral turpitude. And in this case,
So,
walang ganong deklarasyon.
Opo. How many days for the motion for reconsideration? When does this begin? Because petitioners are saying that they will file an MR.
Well, as soon as they receive the copy, and they received it yesterday, I believe 5 days to file an MR.
All right. And then there's still another decision that was supposed to be out or is supposed to be out anytime soon. Yun pong sa first division. Any update on that, Director James?
We're still waiting on that decision. It's a consolidated case. So
Opo.
it will probably get a little more complicated.
And this is the one wherein there were 3 disqualification, Director
Yeah,
James, petitions that were consolidated into one.
Yes, that was Ilagan versus Marcos, Mangelen versus Marcos, and Akbayan et al. Versus Marcos.
But any information on when this will be, when the decision will come out? Could it happen today? Because there was some expectation that it could have been out yesterday.
Right. Unfortunately, I cannot give a timetable, and I'm not getting any information from the first division anyway. So we'll just really have to wait.
Okay, we will be taking a short break. Was there hacking that happened in the automated election system wherein the NBI had already investigated this? We'll be talking about that after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez. Director James, so this alleged hacking of the Comelec's automated election system, I want to discuss this further because number one, the NBI investigated this and they already came out with a statement saying that they found no evidence and they are convinced that there was no hacking of the Comelec system. So what happened here, sir? Hindi ho ba nagpunta sila doon sa Laguna?
Oo, nagpunta sila sa Laguna and chinek nila because that's where our systems are, no? Where the configuration systems are. So they went and they checked, no? We're going to get the full details from the NBI. We have a coordination meeting coming up in an hour. So we'll get the full details then. But again, the summary of their findings is basically that there was no evidence of a hacking that they found, and therefore they believe that no hacking actually took place.
But here's where I'm a little confused. I heard you say in the past that it's impossible that there was hacking kasi kung pag-uusapan po yung automated election system ng Comelec, hindi pa po na-generate or hindi pa po na-establish itong mga tinatawag na username, vote and pins no, of the voting counting machines. So can you explain that to us? Ano ho ba yun? And is that the only thing that can be hacked in the automated election system?
Well, number one, it's not the only thing, it's not the only possible target for hacking, because hacking really targets all sorts of information. But in this particular case, the allegations were very specific, that they were able to exfiltrate or remove from the Comelec system information about the pins of certain of usernames of boards of election inspectors. So that's your starting point, right? Were the pins actually exfiltrated? Now, in order to resolve that, the first thing to see is, meron na bang pin? Nagawa na ba? Hindi pa yan nagagawa, right? Because it is a little early in the process for pins to be generated for the 2022 elections. Remember, the elections are in May. And how can we generate the pins if the teachers who are going to serve in those elections are still not settled, right? There's still a lot of processes to undergo before the final set of teachers who will be issued these pins will be identified. So, hindi pa available yung information na yan. So, if the alleged hack claims that they got these pins for 2022, but these pins don't exist yet, then it calls into question yung existence ng hack, right? So, yun yung pinaka-basic issue dyan. Now, what the NBI did was they went to our facility to check kung merong signs of intrusion, right? So, hindi yan specific dun sa pins kasi nga the pins don't exist. We've established that already. But we wanted to check whether or not our system itself showed signs of intrusion. Compare it to a house, for example, where you see scratches around the lock, or kung nakita mo na sira yung lock, or nakita mong may tama yung pintuan, then you see signs of a break-in, di ba? So they're looking for those equivalents dito sa ating system, and clearly they didn't find anything.
But when you say that they're looking at signs like that, thank you for that analogy though, but would that be very different when you talk about an automated election system? Are you telling me na tinitingnan din ho talaga yung mga makina? Ganun ho ba yun? Kung merong mga nakikitang physical na posibleng ginalaw doon sa makina, or is it this is just mere technology?
Well, this is technology. We're talking about software. We're talking about server systems. We're not talking about physical intrusions. Wala tong physical na pinasok yung building namin or anything like that. Walang ganyan. It's all technology.
Okay. But you were so sure because of the allegation of these pins that were supposed to be generated coming from the teachers, to which teachers have not actually been identified for the upcoming elections. That's why you were very confident in the beginning that there's no hacking that took place. So when the NBI went there and sinabi mo, wala naman ho talagang pin, what were they really looking for if the allegation, as you mentioned in the past, did not exist to begin with?
Right. Ang hinahanap natin were signs na may nagtangkang pumasok sa system, or signs na may nakapasok nga. Kasi posible naman, Pinky, no, that they claim to have gotten one kind of data, pero hindi lang nila sinasabi yung totoong kinuha nila para hindi huli, di ba? So, just to cover all bases, we had to check. Sure, the ones that they said that they got, they didn't get because it doesn't exist. But were they trying to get something else? Were they trying to target other information? And that's what we were trying to settle with the NBI.
Just to follow up on this, I know that Commissioner Marlon Casque Cuejo was saying that your system is a stand-alone system. Ano ho ba
Yes.
ibig sabihin ng stand-alone system?
Well, he means that it's not online. It's not online. It's not connected to the networks, and therefore it stands alone, stands apart from the usual avenues of hacking. No, so when you hack, kasi you have to have remote access because you're not there physically. So you have to connect to the network para mapasok mo yung sistema. If you're not connected to the network, that's a layer of security. Paano ka ma-hack kung you're not even connected to the network? And that's what Commissioner Casquejo meant when he said that our systems are standalone.
All right, we'll be taking another short break. Let's talk about the preparations for the 2022 elections after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Comelec spokesperson, Director James Jimenez. Before I go to the preparations, sir, just one more thing in connection with this alleged hacking. Senator Amy Marcos is calling for a joint congressional inquiry oversight committee to address this report of an alleged hacking. After, and I know that you said you will meet with the NBI, the Comelec will be meeting with the NBI in about an hour or so. Should this issue be finally put to rest, or is this congressional oversight committee still necessary?
Well, I think it's necessary for the comfort of the people who will be attending the oversight committee meeting, right? This is as far as Comelec is concerned, we're pretty sure that no hacking has happened. We are thankful that the NBI is validating that assertion. But obviously, there are other stakeholders who will want to hear the story of this alleged hacking. And for that reason, if nothing else, the congressional oversight hearing should probably be a good idea.
And now let's talk about the preparations for the 2022 elections. The ballots, sir, I read somewhere that the printing of ballots was supposed to begin, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. Did this begin? Yes. Number one, and number two, nandun ho ba ang pangalan ni presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos?
Number one, hindi siya natuloy kahapon in printing. What happened yesterday was we released the final ballot phase for the national candidates, meaning to say we already have what the ballot will look like with all of the names that will be included in the final ballot. And second, yes, nandun ang pangalan ni Bongbong Marcos.
Okay, when will the printing begin?
We're scheduled to have a virtual walkthrough today, and ballot printing will begin a day or two after that. So perhaps maybe the 20th. Yeah.
Okay. Will you be able to tell us the final list of president, ilan po sila, vice president, senators at party list?
Yeah, we have 10 presidential candidates and 9 vice presidential candidates. Do you want me to read the names?
No, that's fine, sir. 10 president, 9 vice president. How many senators, sir?
69 senators. Sorry, 64 senators and 178 party list.
Okay, so that's what you can just imagine how long this ballot will be. Wala pa po dyan, obviously, yung local government officials. Let's talk about just, kasama pa ho yun. I remember nung huli, hindi ho ba back-to-back yung balota?
Yes, back-to-back pa rin ngayon. Back-to-back pa rin ngayon. And in terms of length, it's gonna range from 24 to 29 inches. 29 inches for the really long ballots.
Opo, so parang, over 2 feet ang haba ng balotang to. What about debates and any campaign updates, Director James, sa mga debate tsaka sa mga kampanya?
Well, it's good that we have the final list of candidates out now, and we'll begin the process of negotiation with the candidates. We have to secure memorandum of agreement with them of understanding, MOUs with them, so that they'll agree to the rules of the debate. We hope to stage the debate starting February, then we'll have one set of debates per month, February, March, and April. We'll have back-to-back debates, presidential and vice presidential debates, one after the other. Again, like I said, once a month. So right now, we're going to start the process of agreeing with the candidates on the ground rules so that we can have an orderly debate.
Okay. And what about the senatorial debates?
Senatorial debates, Comelec is not organizing senatorial debates. However, we are preparing a set of certification rules so that anyone who wants to organize a Senate debate, they can do so under the auspices of the Comelec's rules. So we'll certify basically independently organized debates.
Got it. One last issue that also needs to be discussed. 3 Comelec commissioners are set to retire in February. They are the chairman, Abbas, you have Commissioner Gonzon and Commissioner COC as well. How will this in any way, and quite honestly, affect the Comelec preparations for the 2022 polls and even the possible pending cases?
Well, as far as operations are concerned, not much, because these commissioners have already started basically handing off their responsibilities to the remaining commissioners. So the disruption will be minimal in terms of operations. In terms of the cases, I think they will continue with the cases as far as they're able. But after that, there is continuity in the divisions anyway. So the records will simply be endorsed to the incoming commissioners. The challenge really is the learning curve of the incoming commissioners. The incoming commissioners will be coming in hot at the very start of the campaign period almost. And so they will have to really catch up very quickly. So that's ultimately the challenge in front of us, to ensure that the learning curve is as steep as possible, I should say.
Absolutely. And how important is it that the replacements be named as soon as possible?
Well, very important, because with 3 commissioners gone, we'll end up with only 4 commissioners left, and that's just basically the quorum, which means that none of the commissioners under that situation can afford to be absent or can afford to be doing other things. So medyo challenging talaga siya.
All right. Director James Jimenez, sir, thank you so much for your time and take care of yourself.
Salamat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.